As Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najib Razak tables the national budget for 2017, the Star has invited key economic leaders to share their views on how it will affect Malaysians. They are KPMG's Head of Tax, Tai Lai Kok, PricewaterhouseCoopers Senior Executive Director Lavindran Sandragesu, Sino RH Capital's CEO Scott Lim, and Alliance DBS Chief Economist Manukaran Motian, with our moderator Zunaira Saieed.
Manu, has the government succeeded in balancing the need to spend, the need to cut the deficit when revenue is not rising enough?
Looking at the fiscal deficit, their target is 3.0 for 2017 compared to 2016 is 3.1% of GDP. On that basis, yes, they are balancing the budget. But I see this budget 2017 not a surprising budget because we expected more measures to target on the private consumption moderation in the economy. If you look at it, private consumption spending, which is more than 50% of GDP, is slowing down quite sharply after the introduction of GST. The only thing we saw could be on the bring payment, higher bring payment from 1,050 to 1,200.
So if there's a potential slowdown in private consumption growth, we would not be able to achieve another 4 to 5% next year?
Most likely we may be just below the midpoint.
Midpoint is about how much?
At the moment, I think they are talking about a 4 to 5% GDP growth. I don't think we'll be on the very near to 5.
Lavindran, there was not much on taxation this year for this budget compared to the previous year. So what in the budget can benefit the taxpayers?
I think we need to look at it from the perspective that I think one of the main objectives of the budget was to set the deficit at 3%, right? So on that backdrop, I think in terms of taxation, there has been some measures that have been put into place that I think encourages some reinvestment because there will be some rebates, there will be some reliefs, there will be some cash back to the businesses as well as individuals.
Scott, will there be a market reaction with relations to this budget, or is it just going to be muted like before?
I think it will be muted because I only can see one significant policy that is actually to encourage more funds allocation for the small and mid-cap companies, the listed companies, to be invested by the government-linked investment companies. So I believe that outsourcing will be the game to go. So the third-party fund managers might benefit smallly from this one.
Right. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najib Razak has also said that he'll be going to China soon. What can we expect from this visit?
I guess there will be a lot of lobbying for the allocation from the China government and as well as the GLCs there to invite them to come over to invest in Malaysia more, and maybe even that will be welcoming the SMEs from China to encourage them to outsource or even to move their factories here.
Right.
So that I think is the theme forward.
Right.
Yeah.
So what kind of sectors would they like to invest in?
Well, Malaysian has been a very, very traditional kind of a sectors that we are involved in. So China, coming from a higher cost base now, I believe that they will actually move the lower value added kind of industries to Malaysia based on the cost structure advantage that we have here. As for the higher end value added and the technology based companies, I don't think that they will choose Malaysia at this point of time.
Right. Lavindran, the collection of taxes, do you think it will be achievable next year?
Based on the forecast that have been provided, I think there seems to be a 10% increase from 63 billion to 69 billion in terms of direct taxes, direct corporate taxes that is being envisaged to be collected. Now, for that to happen, I think that requires quite a bit of work from revenue to do. Now, one of the interesting things that was highlighted in the budget, that they are going to set up a program or initiative. I think the abbreviation is CIA, and that's going to involve CCM, Inland Revenue, and Customs. So I think they are going to use that, which they have been thinking of using for a couple of years, and I think they're going to effect that soon. And I think that's going to sort of bring in a lot more, because you see, if you look at the businesses that are registered for GST, so we've got like almost 500,000 of those. Now, how do you know that whether that 500,000 have been registered for tax purposes?
Exactly, yeah.
So I think those are some of the initiatives that they're going to push forward for that. The other point that they might try to utilize is the tax amnesty. They're probably going to get more people into that scheme. Now, again, what the penalty rates are, etc. Are they going to be just focusing on the collection as opposed to the penalties? That's something that we have to wait and see.
Right. Manu, now BRIM has increased from 50 ringgit, from a range of 50 ringgit to 200 ringgit. Now, economists are saying that the bottom 40% of the population income has risen due to BRIM, right? But is it worrisome that the bottom 40% is actually relying on these cash handouts?
Yeah, that's not. I think the BRIM has already set a dangerous precedent, I think, for Malaysian B40 people, because I always believe that instead of giving them the BRIM, what the government could do is to train them how to increase your earning capacity, or payment of this money is, instead of giving you cash, giving you in other forms.
Right, Chai, anything on the M40? Now, the middle income group has been sandwiched because of the rise in the cost of living. Any measures in the budget that could address that issue?
I am struggling to find something. Obviously the lifestyle deductions that were suggested was one of the things that were introduced that potentially could assist the M40s, because one of the things that's included in the lifestyle deductions were gym memberships. Typically I guess you would find that the B40 would struggle with gym memberships. The M40 are the ones that probably are most into gym memberships, and that's one of the areas which deductions were allowed for. On top of existing benefits that are available, say for example, like for the purchases of personal computers and stuff like that. So there is that little bit. Unfortunately, personally, I would have thought that this would have been, there would have been greater emphasis on M40, given the fact that I think there was a lot of communication, a lot of feedback that the M40 were in fact, to a certain extent, suffering much more, extensively than all other income groups, because of the fact that they had to cut back a lot insofar as their lifestyle and their spending was concerned. So didn't really see too much insofar as that area, unfortunately.
Right, exactly. Scott, relating to that now, what kind of measures will interest investors in the market?
Well, investment don't really look at this kind of short-term, BRIM handout, and as well as the kind of the middle income at the moment, the problem facing this sector. What we are worried about is the long-term competitiveness of the country, of the people, because these are the structural weaknesses that we are talking about. Government is doing a trick here. They are trying to take away the subsidies from the economy, and at the meantime, and of course they know that the B40 is the one that is going to hurt the most. This is why they're giving this handout to give them back. But if you look at the overall, these people is actually not raising the standard of living. It is not, right? You're just taking from the right hand to the left hand, right? So this kind of short-term measure in the long term is actually working to the disadvantage of the country and the people, because it becomes a reliance.
There has been leakages that have been hounding us in the past and obviously it's been reported in the AG report. Now, in your opinion, do you think good governance would be a focus for next year, especially when we have to clamp down the budget?
There is a specific focus. The question really is how this is going to be actioned upon. I think that the AG reports are quite clear insofar as all the potential issues in the various ministry and agencies. The follow-up is going to be an issue. I think, to be very honest, given that this has taken place, or rather this has been recurring for a good number of years, there's increased emphasis from the public to see more and more action being taken, and I'm sure that there is increased, pressure on the government to also positively react. So I'm quite certain there should be more and more response from the government in this area.
Scott, moving forward, how do you see the market sentiment moving forward? Because China's new growth for the country is going to be 6%. How is it going to impact us?
Well, I must say that this budget does not change or alter any significant way of how we look at the long-term, direction of the market. Yeah, because we have all these serious leakages problem, as you mentioned just now, that we have to tackle, and the long-term investors look at this very seriously, because this kind of numbers in the long term, it add up to what you're talking about, the underinvestment in the real economy, and even that the FDI flows, and all those things are not captured eventually in the real growth of the system. So corruption, and as well as all these are taking away the real potential of the economy, and the debt level of the country is piling up, and eventually you're talking about less productivity, less efficiency, and the money is not being locked up in the system and leaving the system for other growth. So it's like, as a investment person, you will choose to invest in other countries more.
Manu, what are the chances of another recalibrated budget like we've had it in the last 2 years?
Okay, the thing is that based on the current oil prices, which is hovering around 50 plus USD per barrel, and the government has sort of like forecast 45 USD for 2017. This, if I compare with the US EIA, who has sort of like forecast about 51 USD for the 2017. So based on that account, I think they may not be budget recalibration. Having said that, there are some risks. Okay, if the economic growth were to suffer as a result of poor consumption going forward, it's possible that the government may have to tweak the growth and the revenue position and all that. So that's my view on that.
Right, so since the oil price estimate is reasonable, we will not be expecting another recalibrated budget, and that will be it for the Budget 2017 discussion. I'm Zunaira Saieed. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.